Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with today's special guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, these are companies I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. You should be using them too. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our interview, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Go to their website. You can schedule a live web demo to see all their products in action. Probably one of the best equipment purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We also want to say thank you to our friends at Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just love the platform. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. We also want to say thanks to Beacon Creative Wall of Fame. Now, Vital Signs Wall of Fame has been helping schools bring their legacy to life for years, but now Beacon Creative adds a content creation service. You got to see it to believe it. You share your student athlete, team, school history data with Beacon. They're going to come up with compelling stories that you can then upload to your digital platforms. It's really a cool feature. I want you to email John Townsend at, here you go, John, John, at beaconwalloffame.com. John at beaconwalloffame.com. Check it out today. You're going to be very glad you did. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Gipper. Go to Gipper.com. Let their team turn you into a social media marketing guru. Whether it's a social media post or an entire newsletter, the team at Gipper is going to have you up and running in no time. And it's going to be your logos, your colors, your branding. Their templates are tremendously versatile. Go to Gipper.com and don't forget to tell them you heard about it on the podcast. We also want to thank Home Campus. Scheduling, rosters, results, facilities. How about athletic eligibility and clearance? If you do any of that, you're going to use Home Campus every day, and you're going to love it. Go to homecampus.com. Tell them you heard about it on the podcast, homecampus.com. We also want to say thank you to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program. And while they were earning their degree, they also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. We also want to say thanks to Hometown. Hometown continues to change the game for athletic directors, for coaches, for principals, with their suite of solutions that includes things like, well, digital ticketing, of course, but how about fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction? Go to hometown.com. They're going to show you how to save time, how to raise more money, and how to bring your community together. That's hometown.com. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. At my school, we use surveys for everything. Kids, coaches, you name it, even parents. And the information that we got back was incredibly valuable. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. And gosh, I think this is going to be a Toolbox Extra. We've got a podcast veteran and somebody that's just a neighbor just down the road. Longtime listeners to the podcast will remember Sheri Vogle. She was on, I think, right before we went to the national conference in December. She's the director of athletics at Minneola Charter School. Minneola is one of those areas Lake County, just down the road from us. does a tremendous job with her program, also has a tremendous background in athletics. And she did such a great job, I thought I would invite her back for one of our special segments. So, Sheri, welcome back to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jake. I appreciate it. And
Oh, no,
Happy New Year.
absolutely. Okay, you did a great job. You and I were talking. I got my start at the middle school level, and I still teach the middle school courses for the LTI program. So it's got a special place in my heart. And you shared a challenge that I think probably many middle school coaches and middle school ADs have, and it's multifaceted. As we get into it, it's I'm going to let you get into it because again, it's a great topic, and I'm hoping that we can share between the two of us. We can share some ideas for our listeners. But what do you have for our listeners on this segment of the Educational AD Podcast?
So I wanted to kind of talk about building that team culture, team cohesion at the middle school level, with the seasons so short compared to high school seasons.
Yeah, and again, there's a couple of challenges. Normally, I don't want to say normally, frequently, a middle school season, let's just say basketball and soccer in Florida, they're both winter sports, so we're playing them in the winter. You're going to have maybe, 12, 13 games at the most in your school system. And then oftentimes, it's not a 3-sport season at middle school, it's 4 sports. And I even talked to somebody in another state, they have 5 sports seasons at the middle school level. So again, as individual coaches, you're trying to teach skills, you're trying to have fun, you're trying to maybe win a game or two, but you're trying to build and expand on the culture of the school. And that can be challenging in a shorter season. I know some schools, they only play like 6 or 7 games. And here's the other thing I'm going to throw in. Many of our kids at the middle school level, they're also participating on a club or a travel team. And guess what? They have no season. And they play like 40 or 50 games sometimes over the course. And they're going, geez, I only play 10 games. Why should I even bother? So the challenge is definitely there. So what are some things that you've done with your school, with your coaches, with your program to kind of meet that challenge and I guess show the kids and the parents that the middle school season does have value?
Yeah, so one thing that I like to try to do, so our mascot is the Mustang. So we call it our Mustang Spotlight. And so we try to end each practice with the Mustang Spotlight. And so basically how that, you may have heard it, it's probably called different things, different places. I actually got it from Dr. Jeff Duke, which I'm sure you've maybe have heard of him before. Um, he he had gone into it and did this with his kids. But anyways, so what we do is at the end, it's last 10 minutes of practice or so. You circle up, one person's in the middle, and you go around and you tell that person something that you're impressed by what they do, unrelated to sports. Maybe you see them picking up somebody dropped a pencil, and you say you saw them picking up something that belonged to somebody else and returning it. So just some positive reinforcement stuff that you see them do outside of sports, away from sports, nothing to do with sports. Just because our world obviously right now is full of negativity, and so just trying to get the kids to start thinking positively so that once we are on the court, the field, wherever we're at, say little Susie made a mistake. Well, now instead of why did you make that mistake? Hey, did you see, tweaking it and coming out positive to help them correctly, um, you know, show them a different play or whatever might be the case.
No, absolutely. And the research is very strong on the positive effect that those types of affirmations, whether they're sports related or just, as you said, picking up a pencil, hey, I really appreciate your hustle, have on a kid or an adult, and also have on a program. Have you, as you have introduced this to your coaches and your teams, what's been the response? I'm going to guess some are thinking it's the coolest thing in the world, and others are, do I have to do this? What's been the response so far?
So far, a lot of the coaches, they are, they like it, right? And some of them are like kind of hesitant because they don't necessarily like the spotlight. So they're like thinking for them, like, well, why do we want to put them in that situation? And so it's kind of gone back and forth, but for the most part, um, some of the coaches, a lot of the coaches like are trying to implement it. Obviously, there's days that you get carried away with the drill that you got to do, and then you forget, and it's time to go. But for the most part, they are trying to implement it, and they see the difference in the kids. Then, as they're doing it, they see that that team cohesion starts to build, even though our season is so short. They start working better together once they've introduced something like this.
Yeah, and you're going to go and look at your teams, any coach, any AD. They're going to look at 10 teams in their program, and they're going to say, okay, they got team cohesion. They got team cohesion. They don't. We got to work with them. They're struggling. You can tell if it exists. And I'm not saying that if it exists, we are satisfied. We stop. But yeah, we want to keep working. But some teams are going to be much more ready for something like this than other teams. A coach that's just in there. We talk about the toolbox all the time. A coach that has that in their toolbox, they're going to be able to figure out ways to use it. And a coach that doesn't, they might need a little bit of coaching, if you will, from the AD or maybe from another coach. Okay.
Yep.
Have you gotten any ideas from after introducing it? Have you seen some interesting applications of it from some of your coaches? Like, hey, I didn't expect that, but that's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, and I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know that, they've had some where they're almost like, wow, the kids really do pay attention, to the other kids, and um, not just, you know, um, as buddies, but they they'll say like, I started to see who my true leaders are because they are the first ones to always start, talking out when we do the Mustang spotlight. They're the first ones to give that praise or whatever. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I love how you incorporate your school mascot, the Mustang spotlight. It could be anything. It could be the Mustang shout out, the Mustang
Mm-hmm.
moment. And you said do it at the end of practice. It could be a way to kick off practice, to
Mm-hmm.
jumpstart it. Very cool. What are some other ideas that you have tried that you can share with our listeners?
So, one other thing I'm trying to do with all of the athletes as well is, so we all know they have to, manage their grades and their eligibility in Lake County, might be actually the state of Florida, is they only have to have a 2.0. So, which is fairly reasonable. However, I do try to, I've started to incorporate and try to challenge my students, because what I've noticed is during their season, their GPA is fine. Once they're done with their season, it's almost like they slack off. So trying to get them to understand that you are technically still a student. You are a student first. So no matter if your season is done or not, you still need to keep those grades up. And so what I have challenged them this year is, if everybody can keep a 2.0 or higher the entire year, then we will throw a pizza party at the end of the school year.
Mhm.
So it's been very, very close on them maintaining that. And I told him, I was like, look, if one person drops, we won't have a pizza party. And so, like, at all of the parent meetings, I talk about that, and you can see the kids, they're lighting up. They're like, pizza party, okay, cool. So, and obviously there's some that we work with because of other ongoing things, but we do try to set aside on Wednesdays because we get out earlier. If they've got homework, okay, well, we're going to take the first hour. We're not going to practice. We're not going to pick up a ball. We're not going to kick a ball. We're going to focus on whatever you guys need to finish up school-wise. And so just reminding them and implementing that you are a student first, and then you're an athlete. So just trying to get that culture and get them to understand that your grades are more important than you playing in this soccer game or a basketball game, whatever sport you are in, and letting the parents know that. And some of them have, reached out and are like, this is awesome. I'm glad you're doing this. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for, which is nice to hear. And then one other thing I want to try to do is the challenge coin, is get those to try to implement more of the culture as far as if we're in the hallway, and it doesn't have to even be an athlete. It could just be a normal student, and they doing something awesome like holding a door open without being asked, here's a coin. And then if they collect, I haven't really decided yet how many, maybe 3, maybe 5, and then they turn those in and they can come into any home game for free. And so just trying to get that school culture now as well implemented.
Yeah, the challenge coin is really taken off in Florida, I know, because it gets presented at just about every coaching and AD conference around.
Yeah.
And it's a cool idea. Can you explain to our listeners who might not be familiar with the challenge coin concept? I know I'm ambushing you here, or would you like me to do it?
If you like, I know a little bit about it. I don't know the whole story behind it. So if you want to take off with it.
Well, I'm sure, like any great idea, somebody stole it from somebody else.
Right.
Coaches are using it. Athletic directors, principals are using it. Basically, you craft a coin, a medallion, your school logo, maybe your school colors. It can have a message on it, can have your school motto. But you, as the AD, you're the program director, you're the one that decides who they get handed to. And typically, it's for behavioral things above and beyond the call of duty. A kid, holding a door open for a parent who might have, 3, big packages that they're bringing to school for their kid, or maybe they do it for a teacher. Heaven forbid they help out a teacher. Showing some kindness, being a good leader, just anything. Picking up trash when they were not prompted to, helping keep the campus clean. Just give them a coin. Some schools, like Sheri said, they're kind of monetizing it. If you collect enough, it's going to be an admission to a home game, or it's going to be a soda at the snack concession stand or something like that. Others, they're just keeping it very, hey, this is a reminder of you doing something good. And yeah, there's a cost to it, but I think it's one of those things, it's tangible. The kid can see it, feel it, hold it in their hand. And a number of ADs here in Florida, like I said, it's going like crazy, have started it, and they've reported that their principal has liked it so much that they came up with their own coin. And now they're doing that, their medallion for the school. The AD can still do his thing or her thing, but does that help explain it for you, Sheri?
Yeah, that's kind of how I was wanting to use it. So yeah, that was perfect.
Okay. Talking about grades, the pizza idea, I love it. The fact that it involves everybody, I love it. The fact that it puts those kids, let's say, at the bottom of the GPA, they're on notice. Hey, we want this pizza, so you need to hold up your end. I think it's a great idea. One of the best things that I ever did, and this was at a private school, so you have to, I would say, modify it a little bit for at a public school, but it could certainly work, is with our athletic awards program. We did a separate awards program for our middle school teams and for our JV and varsity teams, our high school teams. But the very first award that we handed out, and we did these seasonally, fall sports, winter sports, and then spring, end of the year. The very first awards that we handed out were our Scholar Athlete Awards. And we set the bar high. It wasn't just a throwaway. They had to achieve it because this is a private school, college prep school. Kids were going to college and their parents expected them to get good grades. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we wanted to come up with a standard that we thought was fair and a reasonable level to achieve. So we did it, and we explained it, and then we gave out the awards. And we would give out for our middle schoolers. We in a middle school that had let's say 500 student athletes, we probably gave out close to 200 medallions, and they were medallions. They were nice. They were on a ribbon. I would call the names out. My assistant AD and our coaches. The kid would come down. They'd put that ribbon around their neck. We had them lined up in front of the gym, in front of everybody. It was such a powerful message. Our parents loved it. Our teachers loved it. For our high school, again, we had about 400 in our high school, and not all 400 are doing sports, but we would probably give out, I would say 70, 75 high school scholar athlete medallions. And it was a big deal. It was a really big deal. They didn't cost that much, but it really set the tone for the rest of our awards. And you can bet I would hear from a parent, hey, my daughter, wasn't recognized for a scholar athlete, and, she's XYZ. And I go, well, here are the criteria. And we would look. Sometimes I made a mistake. Actually, it was the teachers that made a mistake, but I always fell on my sword for them. I said, I'm so sorry. Okay, we'll get it to her. And I'd go into the cafeteria and I'd present it to her. Scholar athlete at the top of my lungs, so she got a public acknowledgement. But I encourage listeners, Scholar Athlete Awards, pizza party for GPAs, try those things. You're going to be amazed at the impact they have on your overall program.
Yeah, actually, our volleyball coaches at theirs, they did that this year for a Scholar Award. So it was really cool. And it was really close, but it was between two girls. One 8th grader and actually one 7th grader, I believe. So it was really cool.
Yeah. No, yeah, we felt that we didn't want to take that away from our academic people because we had some academic awards. We didn't want to take away that top scholar. These are just people that met the threshold. If you were whatever, let's say it was a 3.2 or something. If you were a 3.2 or a 4.2, okay, you're a scholar athlete. Okay, you're in rarefied air. Well, Sheri, I know we've been on here for about a half an hour now. Anything else you'd like to share with our listeners in this topic? I think it's just a great topic: student recognition, building culture. Anything else, or should we just give out your contact information so our listeners can reach out to you?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, if our listeners wanted to reach out, what's the best way they can get hold of Sheri Vogle?
They can shoot me an email. It's Vogles, V as in Victor, OGLES at MinneolaCharter.com. Okay.
And again, Sheri's been on the podcast a couple of times. Go back and listen to her episodes, and hopefully we'll get her back again for another segment. Sheri, thanks again for sharing with our listeners.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Speaking of our listeners, just a reminder, we upload the Zoom recordings of every interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day, just about every week. We've got something new, either a Wednesday Wisdom or a Tech Tuesday. So please come back and join us again for the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Hey, before we go, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors at least one more time. Remember, these are all companies that I used as an athletic director, and they're all great companies. You should be using them too. So go and visit Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. You'll find them at sidelineinteractive.com. Beacon Creative Wall of Fame. You'll find them at vitalsignswalloffame.com. Gipper, turn your program into a social media leader. Go to gipper.com to find out. Home Campus, scheduling, rosters, results. Go to homecampus.com. Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Make sure you check out Ohio University. Hometown, go to hometown.com. Huddle, you'll find them at huddle.com. And athletic surveys, go to athleticsurveys.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.